give you an update in terms of the developments around results in all municipalities, and we'll take questions after that with regards to the results. So I'll ask Courtney to, okay, he's finding his way around here. I'll ask Courtney just to address us in terms of giving you some of the indicators of where we are in results, and especially most of you want to know what's happening in the metro and things like that. So Courtney will wax lyrical, and we will take answers after that. We'll take questions after that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. We don't have a final tally for you at this stage, but I thought it's important for us to tell you exactly where we are. What we have completed is the voting and the counting. So there's no counting taking place at any of the voting stations. The result slips were completed at 10 o'clock this morning, which in itself is quite a major feat. Those result slips have found their way to our capturing sites, and the only activity that is taking place at the moment is between the
leaves a clear footprint in the electoral process, and the suspects were tracked down using this information. The Electoral Commission has also ordered an investigation into the effectiveness of the indelible ink marker pens supplied for the election. The investigation will be done in conjunction with the CSIR and with the full cooperation and support of the supplier. Approximately 200,000 pens were procured through the normal open tender process, according to specifications set by the Electoral Commission. In an attempt to increase the effectiveness of the pens, the Electoral Commission had raised the percentage of the silver nitrate content from 15% used in previous elections to 20% of the pens that were used yesterday. Meanwhile, the capturing results and the verification process continues, and the Electoral Commission gives its assurance to South Africa that it will only announce results for elections where it is 100% confident in the integrity and legitimacy of those results. The Commission calls on political parties, the media, and all South Africans to show patience, calm, and restraint as the process to ensure confidence is undertaken. Now, as regards progress in respect of capturing, we have captured 44.17% of all voting stations, and those have been audited and the results declared. The remaining 55% of the results we hope to conclude sometime during the course of the morning tomorrow. However, 90% of all voting stations should be declared by about 10 p.m. tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to open 2 rounds of questions. I'm going to take the first 4 questions and then take the second one. I've got colleagues on the ground with microphones. Can I have a show of hands so that we see how to navigate the space? Okay, I've got this side, 2 in front of me and 2 in the middle. Oh, yeah, ne? Okay. May I request that if someone has covered your question, don't repeat it or emphasize it, because we shall have get it. Okay. Can I have the first question, please, being asked?
My name is from Museum Africa. I just want to understand how many voting stations have been opened by last night and what decisions have been taken to address that.
May we have the second question, please?
My name is from Newsroom Africa as well. I wanted to check, I know you say 4 people have been arrested in KZN, but just how big is this issue of double voting that the IEC says it's concerned about? There has been political parties who are saying that the IEC appears to be downplaying that issue.
James de Villiers from Business Insider South Africa. I just quickly want to check you mentioned you've been in contact with the supplier. Can you give us an announcement where exactly the ink came from? Was it imported, where it was made, and which specific country it came from? And also you mentioned that 4 people have been arrested for possible irregular voting. How many incidences are you investigating of irregular voting? And can you give us a number of how many cases are you investigating?
Hi, good day. Marianne Merton, Daily Maverick. Can I have a clarification with regards to the audit that you're undertaking on the double voting? My understanding is that this has never happened before. Is it indeed unprecedented? And if it is, can we have a statement with regards to how concerned is the IEC about that? And a clarification also, when you say you have 7 days to declare the results, are you saying that that will only happen next week, Saturday? Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for
Nompumelelo Ngubeni from KFM. Still on the sample audit, have you identified the voting stations where the sample audits will come from? And secondly, has an audit firm been identified as well?
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me allow the panel to respond to the questions.
The purpose of the audit is to check the extent of the phenomenon. The Commission at the moment can't tell you it was the extent was this or the other number. That has to be determined through a scientific process, and that's what we are implementing at the moment. Our perspective on the audit is that it's an assurance-giving measure, because it is important that all of us as stakeholders, we are assured that there is integrity in the process. So the audit is intended precisely to realize that position, that let's all find our comfort about whether this thing happened and the extent to which it has happened, and whether it has a material impact on the result. We are speaking to some of the agencies of the state to ensure that we have the necessary capacity to conclude the audit process expeditiously. Obviously, the Commission is concerned that we do not keep the country in suspense for long. We do want the results declared, but we want those results to be declared with a measure of confidence. So the 7 days relates to the date of the election. In other words, you count the 7 days from the date of the election and not from the date you had intended to announce the results. No, we have not yet identified an audit firm. There's a lot of mechanical data capturing that would have to happen from the VEC 4 forms, and we are looking at the capacity that we may need to augment our own internal capacity for that exercise. And we are also looking at the people who will help us with the statistical analysis, so that there's a measure of independence as well in the process. The voting station that had not opened, there's one voting station rather, that had not opened in the Eastern Cape yesterday. I just don't have the name of the voting station with me at the moment, but it is just the one. Capturing is ongoing, so one has got to look at the potential materiality of that non-voting in the context of the overall national and provincial election, and that decision will be made accordingly. Thank you. For the okay, the ink was procured from a South African company, Litotech, and there's a certain specification that had been used to procure that ink. As we indicated in the statement, the ink had not been fundamentally different from one which was procured previously, with the exception that the silver nitrate content was increased from 15% to 20%. Thank you.
Let me take the last round of questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Lungana Mhlongo from Kasi FM. My first question goes to the chairperson. We saw yesterday the statement issued by Forum for Service Delivery wanting the IEC to declare these elections unfair because the chairperson was seen apparently accompanying the president of the ANC. What is your response, chairperson, to that? Particularly, your mandate as the IEC is to ensure that every South African is able to vote. In Katlehong, there were grandmothers that applied for special votes, but IEC staff did not pitch. As a result, they were not able to vote. And in Windmill Park, the voting stations ran short of national ballot paper. Can you say as the IEC you failed your mandate to make sure that each and every South African that wants to vote are able to do so? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Velim Tiane from SABC News. I would like to ask a question with regards to the logistical problems that the IEC experienced in various voting stations. I think the big one is the issue, over and above opening late, the issue of the shortage of ballot papers, which has been to a certain extent attributed to people voting in the voting district where they didn't register to vote. Did you plan for that in the event where people, they vote in a particular voting district, and then obviously you might get a double number of the people that you are prepared that they will come? What was the plan in place for that? Let me give a free advice when it comes to the issue of double voting. The issue mainly, personally, when I did research, I realized is the issue with the green bar coded IDs, a book which could be stamped. Therefore, when you move to the next voting stations, it was easy to be detected. But with the smart ID, you guys were caught off guard. You never planned this properly, and obviously it could be unprecedented, and it's a teething problem maybe. Surely, we live in a 21st century. You should, from now on, develop a system that will be centralized to make sure that as you scan the ID, it goes to a particular central point where it will indicate that a particular ID has been issued for voting in a particular district at a particular time. Your problems will be over.
May I please have the third question?
Okay, now Lady Muleo here from Open News. Just clarification on how you guys are actually receiving information on the arrests that pertain to the double votes. Right now you're telling us you've made 4 arrests in KZN, but we have Ntomfuthi Masinga of the IEC who has just told the e-media investment holdings and of course Open News and eNCA that 19 people were arrested in KZN. 17 of them voted twice in Danhauser area alone. So how are you actually bringing this information, and how do you then certify the number of arrests on voting stations when we have IEC officials sending us different numbers nationally and provincially?
Hi, my name is Teto Mahlakwana. I'm with Eyewitness News. Yesterday, when Tate Moepa addressed us, you were quite sure of the integrity of this election. and you said that you were only looking into 2 cases at that time. Obviously, the meeting that you had with the political parties has swayed you to take this process, but can you still be sure to guarantee the country of the same integrity, even when you did so, having those 2 cases yesterday? Thank you.
Hi, Veronica here from Voice of Words. I think the community that you're talking about in the Eastern Cape is in Kagelo in Ward 1. I would like to know what provisions were made for community tenders that did not get the opportunity to vote, and of course, what was the reason for that station for not opening? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me allow the IEC panel to respond. Thanks a lot. I think some of the questions are duplicates, by the way, and most of the information is in this press statement. If we can bear that in mind, may I allow the panel?
Good afternoon, South Africa. Good afternoon. Wonderful. I'm grateful that we have these opportunities to clarify the concerns you might have and deal with the issues you raise. The issue of, and I'm going to answer for the chairperson. He can respond later if he needs to. In the history of the Electoral Commission, presidents in office have often been accompanied to voting stations. And I want to invite you to check that if you have not had the opportunity to do so. What the chairperson has done has not been an exception to what has happened in the past. And that should put that matter to rest, I guess. In the second issue that has been raised, it is the issue of the shortage of ballot papers and the plan. And I think this is what I appeal to all of us, or this is what we appeal to all of us to do. Behind me are the numbers of those results that have no exceptions, that are clean as we've indicated to you, that have no concern. And if you said you want to be sure, you can, each one of them, you can pull off the website or the result system that you apply, you can pull off the result slip, because by the time it comes to the screen, there is that information, and you can pull out that information and clearly see the outcome of those results. Why do I say this? I say this because the result slip carries very interesting information. It tells you the numbers of people that have been registered in the voting station. It tells you the number of people that have come to vote at that station. It says to you, of those people that voted at that station, how many of them voted using a Section 24A process. In other words, they came from another place, and there is a clear verification process. There are no aberrations, as we would say. And I say to you, we now have 45% of the results. There they are. And that's the process we go through. I confirm that in the results that may be in the system, which are available to you, there may be results that have exceptions, which we will deal with. But I also want to assure you that in keeping with the commitment that we've given you, you would be able to see those results, you would be able to see what the exceptions are, and to the extent that there would be any anomaly that we find breaking with the past, we will be the first to let you know. That commitment we still make. The issue, therefore, relating to the shortage of ballots, if you look at every voting station, as we have said yesterday, there would not have been a shortage of ballots. The only issue would have been when voters heard that in that voting station, the queues are shorter, they all rushed there. And when the queue built up there, they found another station. And inevitably, we've had to, the logistics had to be changed to suit those circumstances. We will deal with this, South Africa. We will find ways to deal with this in the future. Bear with us for a moment. There was an issue about 19 from Domfuti Masinga, just received now, versus 4 people. This is information we receive, which is date stamped and time clocked. It's similar to saying, when these results came at the time of the press briefing, you only had 6.1 million voters. But before we finish here, it could be 6.5 million. At the time of us coming here, the information we had was 4. I don't know the 19, but I'm not denying it. I don't know. At the time we came here, we verified 4. And that's really why we have mentioned that number. There is no cover-up, there is not going to be, and we assure you that's where we are. Someone asked, can we still assure South Africa that the work we do would be credible? We're hiding nothing. Absolutely. There is nothing. And I say, again, every one of these 6.14 million ballots or results, ballots that accumulate to that number, we invite you to look at them because there is absolutely nothing we will hide. I think I've dealt with the issues. Thank you very much indeed.
Let me allow the last round of questions. Before we wrap up, we're just about to close shop. Okay, let me take the left. There's a hand on the left, and then let's take it from here. Okay.
Good afternoon, and thank you for taking my question. It's Bonolo from Network 24. I just wanted to ask, has the IEC ever thought about digitizing the electoral process to the extent of having electronic voting machines to mitigate the kind of hiccups that we saw yesterday? And are we ready for such a process? Thank you.
Francis Machate from Progressive Independent News Agency. My question is, how many voters have casted their votes during this election so far? Do you have that information? If not, when are we likely to get that information? How many participated in these elections? 2, it's on the electoral officers who might be found to have be on the wrong path during these elections. What kind of a penalty are they going to get? The reason I ask, yesterday I went to one, when I was doing polling stations, I went to another police station in Pretoria Gardens where I found about 6 voters who were complaining that they registered in that voting station, but what happened, they were only given 1 ballot paper, and in that process, the area manager came.
Right, we're going to cut out of that IEC briefing there that's taking place just behind us. Officials from the IEC giving us an update as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, and that leaderboard there is alive. Just over 6 million votes having been counted, a number of issues being raised.